Alright, welcome to Valheim, and today I'm going to go through some tips and tricks, just some basic things that I wished I would have learned or would have known when I started the game. So I'm going to use a character that I have had for the first 8 hours I've played, and I'm going to use this world. This is the one I use for everything here. It's called Algorithm, to remind you to comment and like for the YouTube algorithm, and let's get into it. Alright, so real quick map knowledge. So the top right is your mini map. Clearly, at the very top right of the mini map, it says meadows right now. It shows you which biome you're in, and the little arrow at the bottom left is the wind direction, which will be more important once you get a ship or a raft. So if you hit M, it takes you to the world map. Now you can zoom out and see that this map is very large. There's a couple things on here already. These standing stones are where you spawned at. The bed is where your bed is. That's also your respawn point. And then these are for bosses. We won't worry about that. In the bottom right, you will see multiple icons. If you double click, you can place the icon you have selected and name it something like campfire, and then you can right click to delete that. You cannot right click to delete the standing stones, which is the spawn location, or your bed. If you're playing on a multiplayer server or with friends, you can click visible to other players, and as long as all you have visible to other players clicked, you will be able to see each other on the map. If you look in the top right, while you have an area that you have seen hovered over, you will see what the biome is. So right now this is all meadows, but if I go over here, it shows black forest. You cannot see your friends' icons, but what you can do is middle mouse click and it will ping. This will show up on the map and also in the world. I'm going to show you some quick things on building, right from the basics. So we're going to start out with a hammer here. You can just make this from your inventory. 3 wood, 2 stone, and then you can start building right away after you make a workbench. So the workbench is in crafting, costs 10 wood, and you can see a little circle around it. That is basically the building radius. So anywhere you want to build anything other than a campfire, actually, you can use the radius, and that will show you how far you can build there. You can see it really well. So I'm going to slap this down right here. Now, to stow your weapon, use the R key. And you can see if we try to use the workbench, it says it needs a roof, which is very easy. Back into your hammer, right click, and go into the building mode, or building menu, and then you're going to make some walls. I like putting the sidebars, the support beams inside. You can do whichever one you want, whichever one looks good for you. So basically, all you have to do is make walls. Now, you can see that this happens. You can fix it. I really like to. I don't like, I don't like my buildings floating. But all you basically need is 4 walls. Actually, you don't even need 4 walls. You only really need 3. I'm gonna make this a little wider than it needs to be. Also, I'm going to go in and put a half wall. Half wall is exactly what you expect it to be. I'm going to put a half wall up here, just for aesthetic purposes. Use your mouse wheel to scroll, and you can rotate. My hammer is actually broken, which is really unfortunate. I'm just going to make a new one, since I have the materials. And this other one we can just keep for now. It's a little awkward to build up. It's even more awkward to build from underneath. Okay, and then we just go back in here, and I'm going to make a basic roof with just thatch. If it'll not going to let me up there, that's fine. Make sure to rotate into the corner you need. And the snapping is very nice. You can turn it off with left shift, although I'm not 100% sure why you would. Okay, and you just rotate to this corner. We're going to use E. We're going to use this. You know what? I'm not going to use that, actually. I want to use the roof ridge. I've not used these yet. And this is why. Because they don't fit. Cool. Learning, you know, as we're doing things here. So, now that we have a bit of a roof over like this, the workbench should work. I also made them different sizes. That's fine. Hit R again. And we can use the workbench here. Now you can make more stuff. You won't see all of this because I've seen some things you haven't. And this is the repair item button. This is incredibly important. You don't need the materials that you use to build the item with to repair it. You can just mash that and it'll repair everything to full, which is extremely helpful and also very necessary. Now, one thing with building, you know, if you want a flat roof, you can do it, but it doesn't give you the bonuses for being a roof. So if we just fill this out here, you can see when I'm underneath the thatched roof, it says shelter at the top, which basically it means you have shelter. There's a few things that need shelter, such as a bed. But if I go underneath the flooring, right, it does not count as shelter. However, there are a few workarounds. Don't set yourself on fire. That's the first workaround. You can make it look flat from the inside. However, you still would need a roof on top. I'm going to use a ladder. The ladders are a little janky, but they are also extremely useful. If you do not have them like into the ground, like if I place it here, you do have to jump up it, so I do recommend making sure it clips into the ground at least a little bit. We can finish off this roof. Now I can actually use these roof ridge tiles, which do look quite nice. Now, this game does have physics with building objects. So if we try to build this out more, you can still see that it's green, and it's going to change color. Now it's a yellow, and if we keep building, it'll change to a red, and then eventually, it'll break. So you can build, what is that, two out, 3 out, 1, 2, 3, 4, from a wall, and then that's what these wooden poles are for. They usually snap, maybe not to the middle of the roof ridge. And actually, if we build this, oh, let me do it. All right, if it was a little taller, if the ground wasn't so close, we wouldn't have been able to build it, which is really awkward. So you kind of have to make sure that you're building. You know, you're taking into account how far away things are. Now this is kind of a monstrosity of a building right now, but this could be pretty sweet if we filled this out. Okay, so now if we grab a fire pit, which is in Misk, just click it, 5 stone, 2 wood, easy. We can throw that, say, right here. And now, so you see at the top right, when we're in here, we get a comfort of 3, which I think the comfort of 3 means you have walls and a roof next to you or near you. But if you're out in the middle of nowhere, the fire can give you comfort bonus. You can hit X while standing near it, and you will sit down, and eventually in 30 seconds, maybe a minute, you can see at the top right, it says comfort 1. That is just a base fire comfort. If you sit here for a little bit, you will eventually get the rested bonus. Rested bonus gives you bonus health, I believe. You hear that sizzle when you put it on. It will make the same sound in it's about a minute when the meat is done, and then you just hit E on it again. It'll pop off and you'll pick it up. You can leave it on there a little bit longer. You will get coal from it, which is used in a few recipes. There it is. You hit E. We can let the other one burn just for fun. And yeah, this is how you get cooked meat. Cooked meat is very, very good. You can see in the tooltip, it gives you 40 health and 30 stamina. So that gives you a bonus health. So at base, you have 25 health. But if you eat a cooked meat, there's the other sizzle. This will give us coal now. If you eat cooked meat, it will give you 40 health, so you'll have 65. And you can combo this with other foods. You can't eat two of the same food, since you can't eat more cooked meat. But you can mix it with, say, a raspberry. Raspberries are found out everywhere, basically. You just find little bushes with red berries on them. It gives you less. It only gives you 10 health, which isn't very much. But it is for 600 seconds. The meat is really good. It gives you your bonuses for 1200 seconds. And then I don't have any with me, but honey it's 20 and 20, I believe. But its bonus is that it gives you plus 5 HP per second. Whereas this gives you 2, this gives you 1, these give you 1. So you can mix and match which foods you use to give you certain bonuses. If you want more stamina, you can use certain ones. Like the raspberries give you more stamina than they do health. Or you can focus on healing, which is really good for honey. And if this happens to you, where you can't walk in, from the outside, it makes sense. You come in here, there are stairs, throw them on there, and beauty, you can just walk in. But if this happens from the inside, it's happening a little bit still. What you're gonna want to do is make a hoe, which you have to come over to your workbench to do. Workbench, hoe, a little bit of wood, a little bit of stone, very easy. Now the hoe, it says a farmer's tool for working the earth. However, what you actually use it for is flattening the ground. So you can do 3 things with it right now. You can level the ground, raise the ground, or make a path. But once you set it with the height you want it at, just left click and it'll set that height no matter where you're looking. So we're gonna lower this. I said we're gonna lower this. Now that's nice and even with the door. Makes it walking out much easier. Alright, let's go do some combat. Alright, so what we have here is, the first thing you're going to want to find is our boars, I think. Boars are a great source of cooked meat, or raw meat, sorry. And they also drop leather scraps, which are used in a bunch of recipes, especially early game. I have a mace. You're not gonna have a mace. You're gonna have probably a stone axe. That's what I would use in the beginning. So the more you use, say your axe, the better you're gonna be with axes. Now I have a mace, which is technically a club. So it upgrades my club skills, which is 20. I'm gonna do extra. I'm gonna do a lot of damage against these boars. They shouldn't be difficult, but there is a certain way you want to fight them. So if you run up, it just shows boar, right? You can see it's wild and frightened, and don't chase the boars. They will run from you, and then they will come back and smack you, and then they're gonna run away again. They basically just do a hit and run tactic. You can block them. You can parry as well. Basically, you just smack them. Shields. You can equip a shield just by clicking 2. It will not auto-equip if you say pull out another weapon and then go back to your one-handed. You do have to equip it every time. I recommend keeping them close together. But if you use R to stow them on your back, you do run faster when you have your weapons stowed. And then instead of hitting 1 to just pull your weapon, if you hit R again, it will bring both out, which is super helpful. Once you get a few boar kills under your belt, you get leather scraps from them. So you'll see here, we got leather scraps. It does tell you in the top left, underneath your hotbar. The bow is a little bit difficult to use. Not to use. It's difficult to get used to. It doesn't shoot right where the target is at all. For example, from here against this boar, I gotta aim about up here to hit it. It's a great shot. You can see I did 95 damage. That's because my bow skill is quite high. Where is it? Bow is 25. So I just do bonus damage just because I've used a bow a bunch. But what you're going to want to do with this bow is find some deer. Now, deer, they spawn in the meadows. They spawn in these little forests. There's one right here. They make a weird sound. They sound like a dog for some reason. You can see that I'm crouching, actually. If you use control, you can sneak, and the little bar is obviously how detectable you are. Walking around, while you sneak does use your stamina, which is it's a little bit of a weird mechanic, bit of a weird way to do it. And also when you draw your bow, you come out of sneak, and you're detectable once again, so you have to be careful of that. And also drawing your bow uses your stamina, so you don't want to be sneaking around a bunch and then trying to draw your bow right at the end. There's the skill up, because you won't be able to draw your bow all the way. Now this deer, if we get him, again, you gotta aim pretty high. I'm aiming above his head and hit him in the middle. The deer will drop, hopefully, some deer hide. It dropped a bunch of meat. That one was a tier 1. You can see the little star next to his health bar. It's basically just a higher quality deer. Okay, so when you come back with your flint and your wood, we're gonna go back to the hammer, and you can select chopping block from the crafting menu, and you'll see it says it needs to be placed next to the appropriate crafting station, which is exactly why it's red here. And you'll see once we get close enough to the workbench, which is inside, of course, that it can be placed. It also has a little trail next to it, showing that it's connected. And it might be a little easier to see it in here. So basically, this is going to upgrade the workbench, sorry. You can place this anywhere as long as it's connected. And now you can see that our workbench is level 2. And what that lets me do is upgrade a few things. Most of the things I have, I need a higher level. This also lets you craft deer hide stuff, so you can make a leather tunic, and that's going to be really useful for some combat, which is kind of the next thing I want to get into. This is actually giving you information about what you can do with a boar. But what the bottom one is telling you basically is they fear fire, so they will run away if they have a torch. If you have a torch out, they will, and the hand of man. So that kind of tells me that, or it tells me why they run away from you and then come back to attack. And now if I pull a torch out, they won't attack me. So you can use that to protect yourself, especially in the early game when you don't have armor on. Just carry a torch. Just carry a torch, and they'll leave you alone. Now the next area. Normally when you go there for the first time, Hugin he'll fly in, and he'll say the dark forest or the black forest, sorry, they're dangerous. They got monsters in them, and they do. But what you can find in the dark forests are something called Grey Dwarves. Now, these are the Grey Dwarves. You can see this one has the star next to him. They're fairly easily to dodge as I get hit. You see he's a little bigger. He's also red. If we get a torch out, we'll be able to see that. Now they should... they'll leave me alone a little bit more with the torch out. You can see it's different color, though. They do a lot more damage to you. But they also have more health, and they also drop more goodies. Now the brute is, he's the big boy. He does a lot of damage, but he's fairly slow. A lot of health. The Grey Dwarves, if you stand still, it seems with a torch out they won't melee you, but they can throw rocks at you. There it is, which can be a little frustrating. This is actually a great time to talk about skeletons. Skeletons. This one's a high level. That's a little scary. Having a shield is very useful against skeletons. Also, we might see it here. Skeletons and Grey Dwarves do not get along. There you go. They will fight each other. That brute coming in with a big hit. They'll fight each other. You can use this to your advantage, obviously. has been very easy to clear the skeletons out. Using the parry is extremely helpful. You can parry the brutes. And be careful when you're trying to block. If you're in the middle of an animation, like an attack animation, you will not feint the attack. So skeletons, now that you know, they made an appearance, you can find them around like these little houses. There's a couple models. This is one of them. It's a little cave. And inside these caves, I might as well go clear it out. All right, so if we go into here, you can go into the burial chambers. Now the burial chambers, they're very dark. I'm not even sure how much you can see because I can't really see very much. If we equip a torch, I would like it equipped like this. There's skeletons everywhere in here. And basically you clear them out. They're a very simple maze usually. With only a couple directions you can go. This one has a chest. This room has a chest in it, and there are spawners in here, which obviously will just keep spawning skeletons until you destroy it. So you wanna destroy it fairly quickly. Now, as you can see in this next room, which is normally after the spawner room, you have goodies on the floor, rubies. Oh, this is actually another boss. This one has 3 in it. That's incredible. So there's goodies, coins, amber, rubies. There's pearls in this one. There's one of everything. This is a really good room. There's also these surtling cores, which, if you haven't found it in your workbench yet, they can be used to create the next tier of... Alright, so if you're having trouble finding something called core wood, which is used in some of these advanced things here, like these sharp stakes, which are pretty sweet. Once you come into your black forest, you can search around for some pine trees, and once you chop them down, without hopefully chopping everything else down in the forest, chop up the logs real quick, and this is what you get core wood from. There it is. You just pick up your core wood. I'm pretty full right now, unfortunately. That's basically how you get that. Fine wood later, I believe, is the next tier. You get from birch trees, which are also in the meadows. I can't actually grab them yet. This is also apparently a very dangerous area. But that's how you get core wood. Super easy. Just come over to your forest, your black forest, and they kind of look like fir trees, which is unfortunate. But they should be pretty easy to find. All right, so if you're looking for tin and copper, again, just like the pine trees, head to your dark forest. Now, the tin is this. It's just like a shiny rock. You do normally find it, or from what I've gathered, you find it at the shorelines. If there's a river through it, or next to, as I am, the ocean. You'll find tin deposits. They do kind of just look like regular rocks. Okay, if you they kind of look like rocks, but you know they're definitely shinier. So if we go up here with our pickaxe, you can just start hammering away at it, and if you hit it a few times here, eventually it will pop out some tin ore. Now the tin ore, it is extremely heavy. As you can see, 4 of them weigh 32, so they weigh 8 each. So that's tin, small rocks on the shorelines in your black forest. Here it is. It does say copper deposit. It, again, just looks like a big rock. And then you just use your pickaxe on it, and it will deform, and it has a chance of dropping copper ore. It doesn't happen every time. A little stutter there as the world saved. There's your stone, and your... I just got stone, no copper. So it's not guaranteed to drop copper every time. And there, you know, it's a big area. You'll probably get maybe 6 to 8 from this area, especially since it uses so much of your stamina. There we go. There's a copper ore. Now, as you can see there, it says I'm carrying too much. Encumbrance is a thing. You have all these slots, but you do have a max weight. If you reach that, your guy won't pick everything up. He'll stop picking stuff up if it'll make you heavier than 300. And if you are encumbered, I should just pick this up so I can show it. If you are over encumbered, your guy just looks very sad. You can no longer jump. You walk very slowly, and your stamina, when you're moving, slowly drains. So you're gonna want to drop stuff. And yeah. Alright, that's going to be it for me. Hope you guys learned something from this tips and tricks video. I didn't cover everything I've learned from playing or everything you can do. But there's, hopefully there was something in there you learned. And if you liked it or if you learned something, leave a like on the video. And if you have any questions or feedback or anything else, leave a comment in the bottom of the video. And I'd like to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.